It's good to have you join us again. You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning. We, of course, have a blend of them with us. The Nation is the first to look at. And, of course, as the president marks his first 100 days in office, that is the big story, in Nigeria at the moment. And the caption or the lead, the big headline on The Nation is, I will break all barriers for investors, says the president, as billionaire Indian businessman OK's automobile manufacturing deal with Nigeria. Of course, as many have been following, the president, armed with a team of experts from within his administration and from the private sector, are in India on a very crucial business visit, and the president is already talking about his expectations as the meetings get underway. The Punch now, presidential poll, the big story there. Heavy security as tribunal decides Atiku Obi's petitions against Tinubu. In the meantime, police block entrance to Court of Appeal, warning politicians against violence. As 5 justices decide on these presidential election petitions today, security patrol Abuja, and you might also add in several parts of the country. Let's check out blueprints now. Security beef up, it says, as Presidential Election Tribunal rules today. Gridlock at Gwagwalada, Yanya, Zuba, and Buhari checkpoints all in the FCT. Tension as PDP resorts to prayers assures of victory. All right, that's on Blueprint. You get details there. It's Judgment Day, says this Nigeria, as we see next. All eyes on the Court of Appeal as Nigerians await Presidential Election Tribunal verdict with bated breath. Police talk tough, warning troublemakers to stay away. Ibrahim.
Yes, Leadership newspaper is the first that I have with me here. Labour strike suffers partial compliance over cracks in union. And the writers read, offices, banks shut in Abuja, Bayelsa, Kano. Action, breach of due process, says state chairman. Leadership newspaper, Labour strike suffers partial compliance over cracks in union. That's there. The Nigerian News Direct is next. Subsidy removal. We played politics with Occupy Nigeria protest in 2012, as former governor of Ekiti State, Fayemi, talking there, and the former minister. Subsidy removal. We played politics with Occupy Nigeria protest in 2012. Nature newspaper is the next. Early alerts. Are governors prepared for severe flooding in 12 states, local government areas? Are governors prepared for severe flooding in 12 states, local government areas? That's referring to the early alerts warning there. Daily Trust, Nigerian pilgrims asked to deposit 4.5 million naira for 2024 Hajj. Dollar fluctuation over major problem. NACON. Nigeria may not fill Hajj slots. Provide support to pilgrims. That's Sheikh Fuad. Nigerian pilgrims asked to deposit 4.5 million naira for 2024 Hajj. That's according to the Daily Trust. The last but not least here is Business Day newspaper. CBN to clear FX backlog in 2 weeks. CBN to clear FX backlog in 2 weeks. Refutes JP Morgan's debt. Increased FX inflow fails to lift reserves. Naira. CBN to clear FX backlog in 2 weeks. Those are the newspapers that we have for review this morning.
Right, Ibrahim, and there you have it, how the papers are leaning this morning. Of course, in Nigeria, presently, it's a big day in Nigeria, as we have been hinting, first with the presidential election tribunal due to deliver its judgment on 3 crucial petitions brought against the victory of President Bola Tinubu. That you can definitely count on TVC to bring you all the updates. But then it's also a big day, for Nigerians and the presidency, Ibrahim, the first 100 days in the administration of the 16th president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu. And even though it's just 100 days, you might want to look at it as there's several other 100 days that the president is expected to mark in his administration. But it does go without saying that how you start, matters. And that is how this has become a tradition, not just in Nigeria, but even in other climes, where, people track up the president from the very moment or from the very day that he is sworn in, especially for, his campaign promises. And it's not just him, but then he is the current president, so he will be in the spotlight, even though there are governors, who are equally marking their first 100 days.
That's
but,
right.
Understandably, he is the, the commander-in-chief in the country. And as such, looking at his promises, Nigerians' expectations, how he has hit the ground running, and what the next days will be like in his administration. It's definitely, something that we should talk about, amidst the other options that we see in the Nigerian newspapers this morning. And of course, there's been a release, a press statement by the presidency talking about how he hit the ground running.
That's right.
Of course, the very big announcement from the president right there,
the three
during
words.
inauguration was, fuel subsidy is leaving, and it has gone. It has gone. So what we have now is how we have been managing as a country, how the presidency also has been trying to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal, amidst the managing or coping or the struggles that the rest of Nigerians have been experiencing so far.
That's why some said that it's just this 100 days is only spent about 6% of his more than 1,461 days that he has remaining for to mark up the first 4 terms, first 4-year term that he will be spending as president. That's depending on what turned out today at the tribunal, the petitions court. So it's a whole lot of things, a whole lot of mixed feelings. It's just like when it started, it's like it's up to a year, but it's not even up to a year yet because of the things that we're seeing. It's basically saying that I want to be president, I want to run for president, I want to help Nigerians, and you're there. You realize that the issues Nigeria as a whole, as a country, is faced with are much more than what you even imagine. We've been talking about the effect of subsidy removal. Some are saying that it was President Bola Tinubu that removed it, even though it was not budgeted for by the past administration. But then he came to announce that subsidy is gone, and then we saw the ripple effect. So others are saying, how do we trust that he will be able to navigate the waters? How he's going to take us from where we found ourselves or where he met us and taking us to the El Dorado is left to be seen. So, but I feel that he's been doing a lot. The fact that he also emerged as the ECOWAS, among the authority, as a chairman of the ECOWAS authority, and the issues that were faced, that our neighboring country witnessing a coup d'etat, Nigerian, talk about Mali, talk about Burkina Faso, and then we have even in Central Africa, Gabon. So all of these issues are happening from outside Nigeria. Vis-a-vis the one we are already facing in the country. So I see him as president who seeks help where he feels he needed it. Imagine the former CBN governor being sent to Niger. Also, the delegation of ulamas who are also sent to Niger to have conversation and see how they can resolve all of these issues. So I see him as someone who normally seeks help, and I think that's the best way to go because you can't do all of these things alone. So listening to Nigerians is also very key because Nigerians are the one feeling the brunt. You are the apogee, you are the top of the, you are the M of affair, exactly. But then Nigerians are looking up to you. It's always very good to feel their pulse, to feel their emotions, to feel what they are feeling and get ways to resolve all of these issues. So, it's one thing to say you want to the president. It's one thing to say Emilokon, the policies of Emilokon, and another thing to be able to say, yes, I have been able to deliver on the dividends of democracy. Because it brings me to what Andrea Monteravo said about the known, known, known unknown, unknown known, and unknown unknown. All of these things come and leadership. So all of these things come together on how to now navigate the waters to be able to deliver on the dividends of democracy. Power supply is there, insecurity, the security issues are there, and so on and so forth. And you said you've come with renewed hope. And all the ministers that have been appointed, the 20 advisors, 45 ministers, they also need to help the president to deliver on the renewed hope, because breakfast is only served in the morning. And what it does in the morning is what we'll see pan out at the end of this administration. But I'm quite optimistic about what's going to happen at the end of the day.
Right. And I also like the fact that, beyond that, Nigerians and indeed the world can appraise the president at this time. It also behoves on the administration to do a self-appraisal of its policies, of its interventions, of all the measures that have been carried out. And, this first 100 days, this particular one that we are all assessing, should also give them the chance to check how well have these measures, how well have they sat well with the people? Is this what we intended? Is the result of all these, measures? Because yes, the president means well, and people are also applauding the fact that he's communicating. His aides are communicating, but but then it doesn't end there. There is a need, as I have said, to appraise what has been done and see what needs tweaking, see what needs adjustment. If some things need to also be suspended, like look at the social welfare issue now, that also gained mixed reactions in the polity, and then the president had to recall that announcement, and people are still expecting to see just how much people will be getting. Governors have also had their say that the existing social register, social welfare register isn't going to be sufficient, and so they would rather do something more homegrown, with people within their own domains that they can rely on, within their own indicators that they can rely on. It is a time for them to self-appraise themselves, because almost, if not all, the president's policies have been greeted with mixed reactions. The issue of fuel subsidy now, the timing, what buffers the government provided for before the announcement has, sparked a lot of controversy, which is yet to, and the dust is yet to settle. The issue of the multiple exchange rates that had the president also intervening to was greeted with mixed reactions, and we are seeing the realities in the markets now. It has, this two twin subsidy removals, subsidy removals have had a varying level of impact on Nigerians, especially on the rise in essential commodities, food, fuel, and, the list is endless.
All the basic
and then the appointments that he has made so far has also, sparked reactions. When he came up with announcements of removal of service chiefs and the replacement of, a new crop of service chiefs, that was also greeted with a level of acceptance.
And it looks like everything is happening so fast. Everything is happening so fast.
At the point, people were saying, Baba, go fast. But now that he's settling in, and then the crucial matter of who will be his ministers have now been settled. So it's now a matter of how well will these individuals run with the mantra, of renewed hope for Nigerians. How will they? We have new ministries, coming up. We have, diverse individuals coming up from the private sector, leaders who have served in various capacities who are now, that we see them again. It's definitely a cause for appraisal for us as a people. Where are we? Where are we going? Have we reached what we want to achieve? And, what do we need to do more to assuage concerns of the people? I believe it's a fine time for the government. Of course, they're working. The president and his team are not in the country at the moment. And everyone just hopes that, the coming days would definitely bring up brighter things and days for Nigerians. Of course, nobody's worried or everybody's calling for calm amidst the announcement
but you know,
courts due to come in any moment from now.
You know, it's not only going to be done by the president alone, by the executive alone, or by the federal government alone. It's also going to be done by Nigerians. Everything cannot be, you know, left at the table of the federal government. What role are we also playing? We need to get real. We need to get real with ourselves that we don't expect the rot of previous administrations, you know, over the years to be resolved within 3 months or within 100 days or within a year. So it takes a lot. It takes it's a process. Imagine Lagos State government putting down infrastructure which is meant to be guarded by ourselves. We go behind the scene or in the night to dismantle some of these things, remove the rail, remove the iron and all of that, and sell them. So I feel it's also, it's incumbent upon Nigerians that we play our own part in getting the kind of country we want to see.
Absolutely, a collective duty, indeed. The fine place to leave our conversation at the moment. Of course, there's much more coming up on TVC Breakfast.